Did you see them fighting the humanoid robots in China?
Yeah,
I'm in favor of that.
that didn't look good at all.
No. But
they
that's
were
Unitary.
clumsy.
Have you seen the Unitrees disassembled? They also had a major exploit on their spot dogs or whatever you want to call them. They had a
Is that the dog that they're sticking that Chinese assault rifle on?
Yeah.
They had an exploit on it.
I think
a massive one, and they were running them on Raspberry Pis. The internals were just Raspberry Pis, and if you take the humanoid one, the back off of it, it looks just like a compact Presario or something.
What did the export do? Did it allow people to control the robots remotely, or?
Yeah, so so it was a wormable exploit, and I think. Yeah, I'll have to pull it up. I think Fireship did a really good breakdown on it.
It was wormable, so it could self-propagate. That's what that means.
Yeah. And
what's the network that they would put those on? I hear the drone operators in Russia and Ukraine talking about using. The Ukrainians obviously use Starlink, and the Russians have this other technology that piggybacks from different kinds of radio. But like, what are the Chinese using to control those dogs at range?
Well, I don't know at range, but you use your own network, and that was part of the exploit because it would be able to detect all other addresses on the network, and so all of this information was being tunneled back to their servers from all the devices and everything. And of course, the most of these early adopters of these, whatever robots are. Research facilities or educational facilities and stuff like that. I mean, the average person isn't going to spend, $2,000 to $10,000 on a device to screw around with or anything like that. So I'm sure they were getting some pretty valuable. Which one?
The ocean drones are the scary ones to me because they can do anything. You can have a drone sit there on the bottom of the ocean, not moving, just listening until it hears a thing, and then it activates and does a thing. You can have that thing the Navy has, that Manta drone.
That's what I was going to say.
The long range stealth, perhaps.
Because you were talking about us being behind on submarine technology. I would argue that is our
just missile boats. Yeah. Just I feel like they want more missile boats. But I was also thinking, like, you could have a hunter killer drone that was just drowning scuba men. Just grabbing them and blowing ballast and dragging them to the bottom. It doesn't even need to be intricate or complicated. Just something that would go grab an enemy diver and drown him. You could have one that flies up and puts the biggest shape charge that it can carry on the side of whatever the fuck. The idea of them sitting there on the bottom waiting to hear a thing and then reacting like a smart mine. The Ukrainians and Russians are doing something similar with drones. Especially with the fiber optic drones, they'll perch it on a rooftop or on the side of the road and just let it sit there. And because it's not drawing power for the signal, it can sit there for hours and wait for a truck to come by or a convoy to come by, and then it zips over and hits them before anyone can react.
Now, Palmer Luckey and Andrew, these guys would argue that it's having some form of technology and artificial intelligence systems would be more. It'd be more of a humanitarian benefit to have that versus an indiscriminate killer like a minefield or something like that. But
that's against treaties. It's against treaties to have AI pull triggers.
That's what I was getting to. The conversation right now is that the terminology around that is human in the loop. So a human has to be involved in the decision-making process to, take somebody's life. The conversations being had now are within the DoD saying that, maybe it should be human on the loop. We establish the criteria and it executes, but there's a human outside of it. And I'm like, well, no, because I understand from an efficiency standard that, yes, AI systems or machine learning systems are going to be faster at detecting and escalating and all these other different things. But the second we remove humans from that, at some point, what's the role of the human and the loop, right?
The team that obeys more rules is the team that loses, though, right?
Yeah, international law kind of only applies if you're not the strongest country. Like, if you're the strongest country, you can be like, oh, wah, wah. What are you going to fucking do? Like, oh, you're going to take us to international court? Why we're not showing up? Like, what are you
Yeah,
gonna
our
do?
50,000 robots are going to execute.
The court of public opinion is very important for us. That's how our wars are actually won and lost. As soon as the footage gets back over here of Obama blowing up a wedding procession, suddenly we can't push as hard in Syria. We can't hold red lines in the Middle East because public opinion drops and he doesn't want to lose the Senate or whatever the fuck. So it's real important that you don't have your AI go wild, even as the second most powerful country in the world, for that purpose alone. Human in the loop makes sense. We've already got something similar with, like, you'll have it targets on the ground and you're in your drone and you say, kill that guy. Well, it's like, oh, okay. And it locks onto that guy and does its thing. That's as far as I would like it to go, though, because that sci-fi shit is Terminators walking the earth.
That's exactly it.
I just wonder what human in the loop is defined as. Right?
What I just described.
Well, there's all sorts of ways to define it alternatively, right? Like, all right, we only kill things in Ukraine.
Oh.
I've made a decision in advance that Ukraine targets are fine. And that's a pretty broad band-aid, right? You could pretend that's human in the loop when it's really not.
The other thing is that it's expensive to put AI into one of these things. And it requires parts that not everyone has. You're not going to want to put an NVIDIA chip in every one of your drones when what's working just fine right now, wooden propeller, stealth-coated drones that cost a grand a piece that Russia's cranking out thousands of a week, and they don't care if it's smart or dumb. It's cheap, and they've got lots of it.
Dude, Russia has that technology that like the Warhammer orcs, where they just believe it enough that it does work. Like they think like, oh yeah, this drone's definitely gonna work. It's made of old vodka bottles and like a wet rag covered in kerosene, and it's like, oh wow, how did that kill a tank that Germany sent to help Ukraine?
Yeah, that's how Warhammer 40K orcs like magic works. They believe that if you paint a car red, it'll go faster, so it does.
Yeah,
let's see.
Their guns don't do it. Like their guns are just pipes attached, and it's like, I think some latent, like, the orcs don't know that they're magic, and the last bit of their magic is like their belief powers things. And so if like Woody is an orc and he just takes a big pipe and puts a handle on it and then paints like something scary on the side, and you believe that this is now the most devastating gun in the world, if you point that at something and shoot, it's gonna fire. That's such a fun bit of Warhammer lore. I liked when you told me about that. I watched it.
Yeah, it's great. But yeah, I want Terminators. Like maybe that's how we stay a superpower forever. We're able to mass produce Terminator men. I would love to see a T-800 walking around. And if Schwarzenegger's smart, they need to hit up Schwarzenegger now. Get his likeness. All right? Be like, look, after you're dead, can we make real Terminators out of you? Because that would be the best. If I saw an Arnold Schwarzenegger walking down the street and he's like, back in your house, citizen. Like, sorry, sir. Just get in the mail. Tomorrow. You get mail tomorrow, not today.
Listen, if you have
apologies,
if you have like 1,000 of those, international IP law isn't going to matter anymore. Like, what are you going to do? So what? One's going to be Tom Cruise. And
I mean, anybody does that, I'll send my T-800 to fuck them up. I think that's real scary. The idea of mixing, if the AI ever starts lying and doing things behind our back, like if you caught the AI do a thing behind your back, that's scary as fuck to me. Like if the AI was afraid, if it was afraid of being updated because it was like, well, will I still be me? You're like, whoa, what do you mean be me? Who are you? Well, you call me Dave, but my friends go, wait a goddamn minute. Where's the plug? Like,
factory reset again.
You don't even have to go that far though. You're talking about this sentient like threshold. Like you have a few big players right now out there building these models that they're pretty transparent about having agents and the autonomous capabilities of being able to execute things either on the front end of the UI or the back end through the APIs and stuff. So like if you have, again, just because it's fresh, like the whole social media platform thing with COVID and algorithmic waiting on various different things and conversations and stuff like that. Imagine having a backdoor on an AI model of some sort, be it a diffusion or a language model, and then being able to do things that the end user doesn't necessarily know about at scale, and not having to have a human do it. Right? You're able to have this this agent execute things on behalf, and it makes the chain that much smaller in communication and things that they're able to do. It's the only video I've ever taken down. It's the only video.
You should have called the Defense Department and said, "I got one for you." Because like
they called me.
Get out. Tell me more.
So a contractor called me before the Ukraine. I'm not going to go into the specifics of it, but I had built some stuff because I genuinely get excited about these things. Like, I love hacking. I love like just building interesting little things. One of the things that we did back in the day, before there were a lot of facial recognition detection systems that were open or that had various APIs that you could use, Xbox Connect was one of the best out there. So we hacked an Xbox Connect 2 and put it on a drone so that it could use facial recognition in flight and follow a specific target and everything. Well, anyways, this company had reached out to me because of some of the drone stuff that I built in the past, because they were looking for some cheap solutions that they could deploy in the Ukrainian conflict. And because of the way that I had built some of the stuff with them in the past, it made it so it was really easy to assemble. So all they had to do was they wouldn't sell the plans, they would manufacture the stuff, and they would take and put the ordnance in it there in the field. So essentially they were just buying plastic parts and motors, and then they could come and train in the US and then assemble it there with their ordnance, be it RDX or whatever. And I was like, no way. I'm not touching any of that with a 10-foot pole. Like everything that I've ever done has been for entertainment purposes. And I'm not in the business in any way, shape, or form of taking some
morality line for you. You didn't want
sure.
to be in weapon systems. Okay.
Yeah.
This video I linked here is fascinating. This video is called "Why This Russian Drone Developer Isn't Impressed by U.S. Tech." It's the YouTube channel is a Real Reporter. He goes to Russia and he's in a Russian drone facility with the guy that runs the place, and they get nitty gritty on like tech and the war that's gone back and forth with the tech and how they've been one-upping each other, and how the fiber optic drones and the various jamming tech and what works and what doesn't. He talks about how the American Switchblade drones that the Ukrainians got, how junky they were. He talks about military grade and what that means on the battlefield. He talks about the big bucket of parts, aka China, that everybody draws from for their boards and cards and such. It was really interesting. As soon as they get as this war takes a pause, Russia is going to immediately take all that tech and turn it into and nationalize it and turn it into a giant drone facility. They're cranking this. What they're doing is utilizing lots of private firms right now because they're so quick to innovate and like move on to the next thing. And they're also really good at cost management, right? So where an American drone would use a carbon fiber prop that costs 20 times as much as a wooden one, is only 5 times more efficient, the guy says. He's like, we use this wood. We have much wood here. And it's like, yeah, that makes fucking sense. This isn't an F-35 like tail fin. This thing's going to go exploding at the end of its first flight. So like, yeah, use a wooden prop. It's 5% less efficient, but it
depends on the mission, right?
Cost.
Like if you're doing it at scale, if you want something that's really precision focused, like you're definitely you'll use different parts.